Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Bewarecast, live from the Void number 6. Hope you're all doing well. We'll just give it a couple of minutes to let everyone file in. Anyone who wants to join can join. Just let me know in the chat that that you can hear me okay and you can see me okay. Contingency, good to have you. If Last and First Men relates to Breaking Bad, then I swear if Star Maker doesn't relate to Better Call Saul, I'm gonna, keep an eye out for the Star Maker edition with Saul Goodman on the cover. Princess Meek, hello, good to have you. In regards to the book, it's still being made. He's just looking for a new publisher. Yeah, we'll come to all that in a minute. We'll just give it a minute to let everyone get here. Peter Estrada, Australian flag. You're from Australia. Cool, very nice. Let's see. Contingency. Hey, at least printed versions of All Tomorrows will still be a thing as CM Kozeman is looking for a new publisher. Yeah. Princess, wow, I love your hair. Thank you very much. Thank you. I do need a haircut though. I've not had a haircut for I last had a haircut about just over a month ago. But she left it a bit too long for my liking, so I need another haircut. Get a bit taken off. But I do appreciate the compliment, thank you. Yes, Clone Granny, hello to you too. Yep, Peter Estrada. Good evening, Ian. Good to have you. Yeah, so we'll give it just another minute or so, just to let any last-minute stragglers get here. How you all doing? You all had a good weekend? Let me know. I've just been just working on the new video, really. It's quite an interesting one. It relates to the Cyberpunk video I did a couple of weeks ago. It's like a follow-on from that. So, yeah, that video did really well, so I'm going to try and focus on Cyberpunk stuff, semi-regularly from now on. The Shy Dog, good to have you. All Tomorrows reawoke the creativity in me. I thank you for introducing me to it, and your audio version keeps me company. Oh, brilliant. I'm glad. Yeah, it's nice that I've been able to introduce people to it. Most people found it through the Alt-Shift-X video, but, a reasonable chunk of the fan base found it through my channel, which is nice. I'm pleased about that. It's an honour. Oscar, we are here. Good to have you, Oscar. Good stuff. You left a couple of comments at the start, I think. Let me just on your way home. Yep, cool. Yep, you're with us. That's good. Right. So yeah, we've given it a few minutes. Let's crack on. So, but just before we do, just a couple of things to get out of the way. I do have a Patreon. If you would like to support the channel directly, it's very much helps. Every penny counts. Helps me keep the lights on around here. Helps me to keep doing what I'm doing because I do YouTube full time. So every bit of money chucked my way helps. I don't really like doing the, begging, e-begging thing, but just to get it out of the way, it does help. I do have a handful of patrons and channel members as well. And I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much for supporting me. Yes, contingency. Every little bit helps. Exactly. El Claudio, good day to you too. Good to have you back again. Brilliant. Cool. Yeah, we got a decent number of people. So yeah, right. Let's with the Patreon stuff out of the way, let's get on to the main topic of the stream. Now, you may have seen in my community post that I wrote yesterday, I think it was, or from CM Kozeman's community post on his channel, that sadly the All Tomorrows hardcover version that was being printed by a company called Unbound is no longer going to be happening because Unbound has gone into liquidation. The company is shut down. So that's kind of annoying because if, like me, you guys ordered a hard copy of it, there were different options you could choose from. And I chose the highest, well, not the highest tier one, but a higher tier one, where the book was going to be signed by the man himself, the author, Mr. Kozeman. So I was very much looking forward to having that, and it was meant to be being published this month. It was supposed to be August 2025 when it finally came out, but August finally gets here, and then we find out the company has gone into administration. It's being liquefied, so we're not getting the book anymore, which is kind of annoying. A few people have commented and said that it's still going to be happening at some point. He's just looking for a new publisher, which is great. But the thing you need to do if you ordered one from Unbound like I did is you need to email the liquidating company who are in charge of overseeing Unbound now that it's gone under. And what I'll do is I will just... Oh, sorry, hold on. There we go. So I've just put into the chat the email address that you need to email, because now that they've gone into liquidation, we are Unbound's creditors. They basically, we've sort of invested in them, but because they've gone under, we need to get our money back for the orders that we placed for the book. So yes, if you ordered from Unbound a hardback copy of All Tomorrows, you need to email that email address that I've just put there. I'm not sure what you need to say to them right now. All I did was give them my name and my email address and said to them, whatever other details you need from me, just get back in touch and I'll give them to you. But yeah, just send them an email just to get the ball rolling, and then hopefully we'll all get our money back before too long. Oscar sent a super chat. Thank you very much. Says, of course we are here, Mr. Q, all good. Awesome. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Click, click. There we go. Heart and like. Yeah, thank you for the super chat. And anybody else on there who wants to send a little bit of cash my way via super chat, you can do so on here. Just click that little icon with the dollar sign. It's very much appreciated. Contingency says, working on Redux and trying to find a publisher for the hardcover of the original. Man, Kozeman really is working hard these days. Yeah, he is. Yeah. It's he's doing a lot, and he's also, if you're on his Patreon like I am, he's doing a lot of artwork as well. Just lots and lots of stuff. I think I'm getting email notifications pretty much every day of new painting, new drawing. He does commissions as well. I've never ordered a commission. I'd like to one day, but I just haven't really been able to think of something to ask him to draw. But yeah, he draws all kinds of stuff in his own unique, distinct style. It's very, very cool. So yeah, support him on Patreon as well, because he can't monetize. I don't think, because he's from Turkey, and I don't think Turkey is eligible for the YouTube partnership program where you get your channel monetized. So he's not making any money from his YouTube channel, but he does make money from his Patreon. So head over there, and it helps him out. He deserves it. He's a good guy. Oscar, it's sad for now, but it's all good. Let's not make this take us down. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's not. It's just one of those things. It's disappointing. Absolutely. It's a shame, but it's not like it's not the end of the world, is it? And he is looking for another publisher, so hopefully before too long we'll be able to get that hardback, because I'm very much wanting to have that on my bookshelf next to my copies of Afterman, Man After Man, Last and First Men, which I have here, which we'll be reading a little bit more of at the end of this stream, just to cap it off. That's what I'm going to be doing from now on. It will probably be a few pages, 4, 5, 6 pages of it. It'll probably take a while to get through the whole thing, but it's just a nice way to end the streams. Let's see. Arcane Flame, hello, good to have you. Says, honestly, considering the horror stories coming from authors like Dan Hardcastle, Nerd Cubed, Kozeman, lucked out in it not losing money or being massively screwed over by everything. Yeah, exactly. He said in his community post that the one, bit of solace he's getting from this is that it happened before the books went out to people, because he wouldn't be getting paid then. Everyone would just be... Well, I mean, it wouldn't really be a free book for everybody, would it? Because we've still paid for it. And surely the liquidators would have to, set aside the money that did go towards, that was from people ordering that book and send it to the author. Surely, he wouldn't... I don't know, maybe it would just be a really messy affair that he doesn't want to be, be tangled up in. I wouldn't want to be. I'd like it just to be a straightforward, here's your book, thanks for the money. Not getting involved in liquidation companies and all that sort of thing. Yeah, so I guess it is a blessing in disguise that it happened now, rather than in a month's time, when all the books had been sent out. The Sly Dog says, I like thinking of the posthumans doing domestic things, like a modular person going to a grocery store and all the different units waddling off to different aisles to find everything faster. Yeah, that's something I kind of... like, I did a video ages and ages ago, a silly kind of... just did it for a lark, really, kind of video, about the daily life of a queue. And it was just kind of like, what do they do? Do they all agree on everything? Like I said, silly video. I did it for just to mess about, really, just as a thought exercise more than anything, because the queue are a hive mind. But yeah, the others like the modular people, like you say, are all kind of individuals in a way, even though they all have a symbiotic relationship, each module. But still interesting to think about. Contingency, surely they'll give us the product even after liquidation. Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't trust companies that much. Maybe I'm just being naive, to be honest. Liquidation companies are in the business of making money for themselves, after all, aren't they? So yeah, that's probably... yeah, maybe I was being a little bit too optimistic there. Luckily, we're not going to have to find out, because the books haven't gone out yet. But then we still need to get our money back, don't we? Because we paid. So, yeah. How many of you out there did actually order a hard copy of the book? Let me know. Because apparently it was doing some seriously good numbers. I think it told you on each, because, where you had the option of each tier that you could order, the signed version or the basic version, all that sort of thing. It told you the number of orders on each one, and last time I checked, it was doing some pretty impressive numbers, and I was pleased for him. I was like, yeah, good for him. I'm glad, because he gave it away initially. It was just a PDF. He wrote it, he uploaded it to the internet, and then 15, 16 years later, it was found by Alt-Shift-X. He made a video about it, and then I made videos about it. With CM Kozeman's permission, I monetized the videos, so I've been making money off of it, but he hasn't, which seems, that's why I joined his Patreon. I thought, well, the least I can do is chuck a few quid his way, because he wrote the thing and I'm making money off of it, which is, but it's just the way it goes. So I was hoping he would finally be able to make a bit of cash off of it, but not yet, apparently. But when he releases the Redux, I think he will make some serious, as long as he can find a good publisher for it as well. That's the thing. People say being an indie author is the easier way to go, and I mean it is, if you can find a decent publisher, like a decent print-on-demand company. I have heard some horror stories, to be honest, from people not getting paid. They're uploading their work to it, it prints on demand, and then they just don't get paid, or they get really screwed over with the percentages and stuff like that. So It's just a tricky game, you know, being an author. I'm working on my own Spec Evo project, actually, called The Telescope. I've talked about it a little bit before. When the time comes, whenever it's done, I don't know when that'll be, probably a little while in the future. I myself am going to have to look for a print on demand or a self-publishing company. Obviously Unbound is no longer an option. I don't know about the Amazon one, because I mean Amazon is just, you know, as far as evil corporations go, they're probably the most evil, to be honest. So I don't think if I was to sell my book through them, I don't see myself really getting much in the way of a decent, you know, I'll probably get a bit of a raw deal with them. So yeah, it's going to be hard. It's a lot of research is going to be needed, but cross that bridge when we come to it, I suppose. Yeah, let's see. Look through some of these comments. Oscar, yeah, you ordered one. That's, you know, hopefully you'll get your money back, same as me. Contingency, you didn't. Well, you got nothing to worry about then, have you? Ordered mine on the first day, Muris. Yeah, I ordered mine within a few days of it becoming known. Before, you know, within a few days of CM Kozeman making it, you know, announcing it. So I've been waiting quite a while, and the month finally gets here, and it's like, oh no, it's not happening. So yeah, it's typical, but that's the way it goes, you know. Can't be too upset about it. It is only a book at the end of the day. Arcane Flame says, yeah, they were trying to get out of paying royalties to authors, which is why they tried to reorganise as Boundless and tossed the old royalty debts to Unbound, which was dissolved in bankruptcy. That old chestnut. The old, we've changed our name, we're a different company now, none of those debts belong to us. Yeah, that's oldest trick in the book, that one. Hopefully it doesn't work. Hopefully that can't be an easy thing to get away with. There must surely be lots, you know, there's paper trails, there's links to their old banking and stuff like that. That can't be an easy thing to get away with. Maybe it's like a legal loophole they try to exploit, but it shouldn't be. That shouldn't be an option, should it? It doesn't matter if you change your name to a different company name. If I change my name to Bob, I'm still the same person. It's just a different name, you know. I don't think I could escape any debts I had by changing my name to, you know, Bobby McBobberson or something like that. Oh yeah, the old, you know, I don't have debts anymore because I changed my name. It's stupid. I hope they don't get away with it. It's basically what I'm trying to say. Oscar says, we owe him nothing. He gave all he could. Respect. He did give all he could. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's he's a good guy. You know, it's a shame. I hope he gets. Hope he gets that big fat payday that he deserves one day. Arcane Flame ordered the book on the first day before everything started coming out about Unbound, Boundless troubles. So has that been a known thing for a while then? Because I've not really... I mean, to be honest, I just kind of took it for granted that it was happening. I ordered the book, and then I was like, oh, okay, it's going to be a while before it comes out. I'll just patiently wait for it. So has that Unbound? Has that been a bit of a controversy for a while? I've not heard anything about it, but then I've not really been looking into it. So, so if it's been going on all this time and I didn't know, that's really galling. Daniel Alon, good to have you. Hello, good to have you back. Nice to see you again. So you got a copy of the New All Tomorrows? Because if yes, congratulations. No, not a copy of the New All Tomorrows. The new one's not out, the Redux. We're talking, this hard copy is of the original version in print for the very first time in the English language. It's been printed before in the Thai language, I believe. But in English, no, it's not been. This would have been the first time it had been in physical print, but it's not. It's not happening. Problems with the company. They've gone into liquidation. Oscar says the SIR will fix, I guess. I'm not sure what the SIR is. Daniel says, bummer. Yeah, at least I have All Tomorrows as a PDF on my phone. Yep, I've got it on my hard drive. And in my audio form as well, which I suppose we can all listen to anytime we like. Let's see, Shadow Fox. Bro, you read the All Tomorrows book. Your voice is so legendary. It's in edits for the queue. Cool. That's nice to know. Thank you for the compliment. Contingency. Trust me, companies know their way to change a lot of things. And I'm not even a corporation nerd. You just know it deep down. Exactly. You know, you just hear about the stuff they get away with and the way they operate and the way they treat people. I talked about this a little bit in my Cyberpunk video. Not that in depth, but the different attitudes between how people see corporations in the Western world, like America, Britain, just the West in general, and then in Japan. They have a slightly different attitude towards them. But yeah, generally people here, these massive corporations, and not even massive corporations, just corporations in general, are kind of a necessary evil, really. But they are, well, not even necessary. They're not a need. They're a want. But there's this uneasy symbiosis between us. You know, the corporations don't particularly like us. They don't particularly like other corporations they have to work with. It's just a completely cynical thing, and we don't really like them either. We use their services, but no, who really likes Amazon as a corporation? Who really likes, Coca-Cola as a corporation? I mean, you might like drinking Coca-Cola, but nobody really likes them, do they? And they don't like us. But then again, it's just, what's the alternative? I don't think there are any realistic alternatives, really. Not if we want the same standard of living that we've got. Tricky issue. I'm not anti-corporation at all, but I'm not pro-corporation either. I'm just like, they exist, get what you can from them, but, it's a difficult one, to be honest. But yeah, they do know their way around the legal system. The big ones, they've got the best lawyers that money can buy. So they're going to be like, they will easily find their way around anything. Let's see. Arcane Flame, it has been for a couple of months, right? So it's been known for a couple of months that the Unbound, Boundless are going under and causing problems for their authors, right? I didn't know anything about it. I just didn't look at the website after ordering the book, so I had no idea of any of this. It's a shame. Oscar, excuse me, Oscar. I will never call you Bob. You are Mr. Q. Bob's my first name. Q is my surname. Bob Q. You could be Bobby Q, like barbecue, says the shy dog. Yeah? Barbecue. That's cool. I like barbecue. I wouldn't mind being called barbecue. Contingency. No one likes the companies. They just like the product. For now, before some rich guy deploys something to make us mindless drones. Yeah. Facebook attempted that with the metaverse. That's a big corporation, wanted to turn us into mindless drones, sat around wearing headsets, dribbling into our laps, doing nothing all day. It didn't take, funnily enough. Who could have foreseen that sitting around all day, not showering, wearing a massive headset on your face 24/7 didn't end up being that appealing. Big surprise. I suppose when they come up with some sort of brain implants, I think Elon Musk is working on brain implants or something. Oh man, it's scary. You know, I really love cyberpunk stuff in fiction, but I want it to stay in fiction. There's so many people who are just so intent on bringing it into the real world. I don't want it in the real world. I don't want brain implants. I don't want body augmentations and stuff like that. I don't know. I just find it gross. It's a cool aesthetic for films and for books and for games and stuff like that. Music as well, if you're doing cyberpunk style synthwave music, and it's a cool aesthetic in fiction, but keep it in fiction. I don't want all that stuff in the real world. We shouldn't have to contend with all that down the line on top of everything else that we have to, because it'll end up being a case of like, you want to apply for a job, but you must have a certain model of eye implants or something to be able to do the job properly. If you can't afford those eye implants, there's a more basic version of that now, where if you don't own a car, then you're basically out of the running for all kinds of jobs. Must own a car or must have driver's license, stuff like that. So in the future it'll be stuff like, you must be able to lift 100 kilograms with one hand, because you're going to have to write stuff with the other one, and if you don't have a certain robotic hand model, then you can't have the job. It's there's all kinds of bizarre ways that sort of thing could go, and you must have certain brain implants. And it's like now you basically have to have a smartphone, because if you work for certain corporations like supermarkets or things like that, you have to have to see like your wage slips and how much you've been paid and get updates for like on your shifts and things. You have to have the app on your phone. So if you're a bit of a technophobe and you don't really want to have a smartphone because you're worried about all the tracking and stuff like that, well, that means you're out of the running for having a job. Something as basic as working in a supermarket, because you need to have the app on your phone. So we're in proto-cyberpunk world now, I think. In the Western world we are anyway. Scary. So it's only going to get more. It's going to be more extreme versions of that in the future, and I don't want that, to be honest. I don't know anyone who does. So I can't remember what the original comment was. I went off on a bit of a tangent there. Do apologise. El Claudio says, thank the shareholders in the case of Henry Ford for the modern state of corporate law. Yeah, it was him. It was Ford that... I read about this a little while ago, actually. A lot of the things that we have now were introduced by him in some form. Wasn't it the working hours or something? Like, was it the standard Monday to Friday work week or something was introduced by Henry Ford? Was it that? I read about it a while ago, but then I read a bunch of other things at the same time. I might be conflating some of them, but I'm not sure. Henry Ford was responsible for a lot of crappy things that were introduced and that we still have to live with to this day. The Shy Dog says, I love splatterpunk and body horror. I am also a pacifist. Fiction is for fun, not for real. Yes, exactly. There's so much stuff I like in fiction that I don't want in the real world. I really like horror films, but I don't want the supernatural to start haunting my house. I like slasher films. One of a favorite slasher film of mine is the original Halloween from 1978. But I don't want Michael Myers running around doing his thing in the real world. And again, like you said, it's fiction is for fun, not for real. We can separate it in our minds. We can enjoy something in fiction, You know, you can watch a war film. That doesn't mean you like war. Yeah, so don't bring fiction into the real world. Please. Tech billionaires, please stop. Peter Estrada says one of the recipients of the Musk Mind effer is currently in litigation, I believe. Somewhat disabled fella, and the reaction is not good. Right, so he was a guinea pig then. Currently in litigation as well. Right, so yeah. I mean, he would have volunteered for that, wouldn't he? He would have volunteered to do that, so surely he would have signed something. He would have had all kinds of stuff he had to sign before he did that, saying, you know, this could go wrong, this is experimental, we don't know if it's going to go right. Yeah, somewhat so disabled, I'm guessing disabled by the procedure then. Eesh, man, I don't like all this stuff, you know. Peter Estrada, the original May Day and Labor Day, not Ford. Ah, okay, I mean, yeah, I thought I was probably getting it mixed up in my head with other stuff. Yeah. Israel says, hello from New York. Hello to you too. Good to have you. Good to have you. Cool. Yeah, I think you're a new face, aren't you? I've not seen you here before. Peter Estrada, the hairs retracted and are just sitting there, but he is not in good shape. Hairs retracted. Right, I think I know what you're getting at, actually. Yeah. It's you know, the upcoming video that I'm doing on Friday is actually about a film. You may have heard of it, you may not. It is a bit of a hidden gem. I've got the DVD case here because I've been working on it. It's called Upgrade, and it's a cyberpunk film that involves all kinds of you know, implants and enhancements and stuff like that. My video on Friday is going to be about this film, so watch this film if you can. Find it somewhere, watch it. It's a brilliant film. Many people haven't seen it, haven't heard of it. It's a low budget film. It's actually an Australian film, but the main guy in it, Logan Marshall Green, Logan Marshall Green's American. All the other actors in it mostly are Australian, but using American accents for the film. So it's set in America, but it's an Australian film. Really, really good. It deals with all that kind of thing. Yeah, go and watch the film, because barely anyone has seen it. It's an excellent film. Came out in 2018, and it's one of those rare modern films that is really, 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 really good. You know, on par with things from the 80s, I think, like The Terminator, like RoboCop, Predator. It's just a genuinely good, really original film. Go and check it out if you haven't seen it. My upcoming videos on that film, which is coming out on Friday, so that's your homework. Watch Upgrade. But yeah, it's set in the 2040s, and it's about a guy who is in an accident and he gets an implant that this tech billionaire has come up with. I won't say any more. Excellent film, go check it out. But it deals with those themes, and everything in it is stuff that you see it and you think that's probably going to happen, to be honest, in a couple of decades. The film is only set a couple of decades from now. It's set in 2046, so 21 years from now. And the way they do the world in that film, it looks mostly the same as our modern world, with some new buildings, some new cars here and there on the roads. But the tech in that is, you know, if you think about the leap from 10 years ago to now, like if you went back 10 years and told people about ChatGPT, they would think you're just trying to, you know, have a joke at their expense. But 10 years later, we've got ChatGPT and AI that just basically has conversations with you. So in 20 years from now, all the stuff in that film is probably going to be the kind of thing you're going to see. Great film. Go see it. Let's see. The contingency. Let's just hope the 1% is smart enough not to bring Skynet or Shodan into reality. That would end horribly. Are they smart enough to not do that? I mean, they're not. I mean, you know, they're sort of smart enough to build it. They can build it, but just because they're smart doesn't mean they have common sense. So, I mean, they're going to build it. If they're going to build it, they have every intention of releasing it. Otherwise, they wouldn't build it. So, we've got some interesting things to look forward to in the coming decades, I'm sure. Oscar says, by the way, the machine stops. Is this our future? Ah, yes, the machine stops. That's so for anyone who doesn't know, that's a really, really, really good short story written in 1909. And it's incredible the amount of things that it predicted. Things like automation, things like computers, things like video calling, stuff like that. It's all in this short story by E.M. Forster, English author E.M. Forster, and it was written in 1909. So 116 or so years ago, and he predicted all that kind of thing. It's crazy. You know, it's a very heightened and quite exaggerated look at the future. I don't think it specifies what year it takes place in, but some of the things in there, like people's just absolute aversion to nature, like there's the people in this book, they simply cannot live without their technology, and it's gotten to the point where the characters in this book, they are physically repulsed by nature. There's a sequence where the main character, I forget her name, excuse me, is travelling via an airship to go and visit her son on the other side of the world. And there's a bit where like all the blinds on the windows are all closed because nobody can stand the sight of trees, mountains, the sky, anything like that, because they all live in these basically pods where a machine just provides absolutely everything for them. Their food or their clothing, their music, it's all just piped into their little thing, their little living quarters, and they never leave it. All their socialising is done via video call and stuff. But they're travelling on this airship, and then one of the blinds accidentally opens, and people catch a glimpse of mountains outside, and they're like, oh, that's disgusting. Mountains, nature, you know, the world, the natural world. And I think like some of the passengers get really, really abusive to the stewardess who's working on it, like handing out the, you know, the snacks or whatever she's doing on there. And there are, I mean, people aren't quite there yet. People still do like the natural world, but there's a lot of people, a disturbing amount of people these days in the West, city dwellers, who don't know really basic things, like they don't know which animal bacon comes from, or they don't know, like they have never ever been to the woods, or they've never been to the beach, which is basically, in this country anyway, that's basically inexcusable, because you're never more than an hour away from the beach. We're a really small country. You can get to the, well, if not a beach, you can at least get to the sea and see it. Different in places like America and that, where if you live in Kansas or Missouri or something, it's a long trip to get to the beach, so fair enough for you guys. But here, that's inexcusable. But there are people who live in cities who have never seen the ocean. They've never been to the woods. They've never seen a mountain in person. So it's only a hop, skip and a throw from that to actively despising nature, in my opinion. If you go without it for a long time, and if you're told for long enough that you don't need all that sort of thing, and you do need it for your mental health, you do need to see nature, it's good for you, see greenery and foliage and stuff like that. But if you go long enough being told you don't need it, you just need your concrete and metal high-rise thing that you live in, people will start to not like nature. Actively not like it. Not just be indifferent to it, but not like it. And be disturbed by the sight of it. And that's where the people in The Machine Stops are. It's a brilliant story. I have, on my channel, a reading of it and an overview video of it as well. If you just go on my channel, just search The Machine Stops, it'll come up with both. So if you prefer to listen to the audio reading of it, it's there. If you prefer just an overview with visuals, that's there too. But yeah, fascinating story. Yeah, thanks for bringing that one up, Oscar. Yeah, it's really good. Let's see. Peter Estrada, wires in brain. Ooh, yes. I don't want wires in my brain. I don't want wires in any part of my body. There's so much crap in our bodies that shouldn't be in there now as it is. Microplastics, stuff like that. Shouldn't be there, but it is. So I'm not in a hurry to introduce more foreign matter, into my brain or anything like that. No, thank you. Yeah, let's see. The contingency says, speaking of machine stops, God, the mending apparatus would be terrifying to encounter. Just this mechanical tentacle thing kind of reminds me of the Shoggoth. Yeah, everything about that world is just horrible. Just really anti-human. It'd be a very depressing world to live in, that one. And like at the end of the story, the main character's... what's her name? It begins with V. Vashni? Something like that. But her son is who she's trying to get to. And her son has been out and seen nature. And seen the world. And he wants to get back to it. And yeah, at the end of the story... I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's not read it. So I guess I shouldn't say any more about it. But yeah, it's on my channel. Go and check it out. Yeah, the contingency. Thank God. Sorry. Oscar says the mother is Vashta. I think it's Vashti, isn't it? Vashti. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. Contingency. Thank God, E.M. Forster estate haven't come for you yet. Yeah, Harlan Ellison's did. So did Ray Bradbury's as well. I had a couple of Ray Bradbury's up on my channel that I had to take down because they sent me an email saying, take it down or we'll see you in court. And I don't know if they would they go through the trouble of having me extradited from England over to America to sue me in court? I don't know, but I didn't want to take the risk. I think each of those videos probably made me about £40 each, so I was like, and nobody watched them anymore anyway, so I'll just take them down. I don't want to deal with being sued in the US of A in a court of law. No thanks. Matthew Rogan, can I ask how old you are? I'm 36. I'm an old man. Oscar says the machine stops is already in the works. Yeah, it is. It kind of is, sadly. That's something I'll never understand, and it's something I'm going to cover in my upcoming video. Is how the human race is so hell-bent on hurtling towards a future that nobody wants. Why aren't we trying to create a future that people want? I suppose we're going towards the future that a small handful of people want. Decision makers, billionaires and, those types who are calling the shots at the top. They want that kind of world. but we just seem to always be heading towards something that's just not good for us. Are we just so inherently self-destructive that we don't want to make the effort of planning a future that we actually want? We always seem to be going in the wrong direction, don't we? It's weird. It's a really weird phenomenon. Is it like a psychological thing in the human race or something? It's weird. It's Duro. Hello, good to have you. This is terrible news. I'm guessing you're referring to the All Tomorrow's book not being, not going ahead in print. Yeah, it is terrible news. It's a shame. It's a real shame. I was looking forward to it for a while. I was looking forward to having it on my shelf next to Man After Man, next to Afterman, and, Last and First Men. And it was a signed copy that I ordered as well. I was really looking forward to it, but yeah. He's looking for another publisher, so we'll see what happens in the interim. Oscar says humans are dependent more than we see. Yeah, they are. It's like even our most, quote unquote primitive technology that we have, things like cassettes for music. Okay, it's really, really outmoded. It's really old-fashioned. But how many of us would know how to make one? Would we know how to make a cassette? Know how to, what materials you needed, how to put it together, how to mold the casing, how to get the music on the tape? I mean, yeah, it's old technology, but even going further back, the steam train. A steam train that moves at like 15 miles an hour. Yeah, okay, really primitive. We've got things like bullet trains now, but how many of us could build something like that? We're totally. Most people don't know how to make anything. Most people don't really even know how to grow vegetables. Something as basic as that. That's something I do. I've got loads of potatoes growing in the backyard at the moment because I like growing veg. I tried it for the first time last year, and the potatoes were the only, and the cucumbers as well, were the only thing that was really successful. My tomatoes didn't work. My carrots didn't really happen. Tried growing a few herbs as well, but nah. So I just stuck with the potatoes this year. It's really satisfying doing it, but most people don't know how to grow vegetables. They're completely dependent on automated processes and going back to the corporations doing everything for people, making the food and stuff like that. It's quite disturbing just how dependent we are on this huge sprawling system, this intertwined thing that we've got, that this string of, it has to come from here, it has to come from overseas, and then it gets here, and these people do this to it, and then these people do that to it, and it's, so many things are just completely beyond our scope of what we can do, and it's it is quite a frightening prospect when you think about it at length. So yeah, more dependent than ever, heading in the direction of the machine stops. Let's see the contingency. Someone just invented AM already, and just left it there. If we're going down the drain, let's at least go down with something to warn other species about our mistakes. Somebody's invented AM from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's. Yeah, let's do that. Let's invent a psychotic robot that's going to turn us all into weird slug things, like at the end of that story. See, that's it's like I was saying before. We just seem absolutely intent on making the future as horrible as possible. I don't get it. Oscar, old? Then what am I then? No offence to anyone older than me. I guess, excuse me, I guess 36 isn't that old in the grand scheme of things, you know. But I might be over a third the way through my life, which is, yeah, which is scary. Yeah, it's Duro. Yeah, I ordered the signed copy too. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame it's not happening, but you know, he's looking for another publisher. Hopefully, before too long, it'll be on its way to us in some form or another. Yeah, I was looking forward to getting mine, but yeah. Ian says, "Oh yes, I love the hey kids, grow giant mushrooms in your cellar," or whatever it was titled. Yeah, grow giant mushrooms in your basement or something like that. The Ray Bradbury one, a weird story. I really liked it, just because it was weird. I was looking through a lot of his stuff for something to read on the channel, and what was it? It was that one. What was the other one that I read? I can't even remember, to be honest. But yeah, it was like the kid in that. He orders from from a comic book or something, or a magazine or something like that. I think you know, the old forms that you cut out in magazines back in the old days, and you filled it in to order this thing that was there, sent it away, and then 6 weeks later you get your thing. And his was like a mushroom seeds packet or something, but they grew massive. It's just weird. I like weird, bizarre stuff like that. Just stuff that doesn't really... I don't know how to describe it really, but just stuff that's totally out there and inventive. And Ray Bradbury was that. And it's a shame his estate are so litigious and wanted to sue me because I made a couple of YouTube videos that got a couple of thousand views, but there you go. I'm just going to have a quick drink. Bear with me 1 second. Right. Thank you for bearing with me. Oscar says, truth is, we do know we are trapped. We are trapped. In a way. You don't have to be trapped though, not entirely. You can always research things and look up, you know, read about what's going on, so you're at least clued up. Even if you can't do anything about it, you can at least know about it. And then other things like practical skills, like growing veg or learning how to repair things, you know. Like me and my fiance, we moved into this house a couple of years ago, and before we moved here, I'd never done really any kind of DIY or anything like that, because I never had to. I'd lived at my parents' house, or I lived in rented accommodation where all that sort of thing was taken care of by the landlord, or I lived at my fiance's old place, and she was trying to sell that, so we didn't really do much to it. But since I've been here, I've been doing all kinds of things. I've put up shelves, I've painted rooms, I've done some plastering, garden work that I'd never really done before. Learned how to use drills and stuff. You know, I've got an SDS drill, a big powerful thing that I've used a few times, because the walls in this house, because it's an old house in England, it has damp. So I had to take care, I had to install these damp proof rods into the brickwork. So I've learned to do all this kind of thing. So if you get the opportunity, learn how to do practical things like that. Learn how to grow some vegetables, and eat that, and do other things as well, like do some reading, improve your vocabulary, stuff like that. Just bits of self-improvement, work out and stuff, and you won't be entirely trapped. You'll never be entirely free. But you can stop yourself from being entirely trapped. So, just something to think about. Let's see. Clone Granny, I managed to keep a basil plant alive for a year. Nice one. I couldn't do that. I tried growing basil in my backyard, and I couldn't. I tried growing it indoors in the kitchen as well. Couldn't couldn't keep basil alive, sadly. It shriveled and it was gone. And it's a shame because I like adding basil to my... I do have... I like adding basil to my meals, but yeah, I don't have any now. But I do have a big rosemary bush in the front yard, which is getting pretty big. So whenever I'm making like chicken, rosemary goes really good with chicken. So I can just go out there, snip off a little branch. It'll grow back in no time. Chop it up, and you got rosemary for your chicken. It's great. It's great. You know, it's really rewarding having all this stuff to, you know, just you don't have to go to the shop and spend money on it. It's just there, and it's free. It's great. Yeah, it's a really good feeling. Let's see. Ian says the Ray Bradbury book. I mean, yeah, oh yeah. The mushrooms one, the giant mushrooms in your basement or cellar or whatever it was called. See, contingency. Well, that was depressing, but such is life on Earth, or the universe, if you believe we're the only race to exist. Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting question. What do you guys think? Is there actually, you know, I've got a channel where I talk about alien life, science fiction, stuff like that. What do you guys think? Do you think there actually is alien life out there? Do you genuinely think that there is? Me, some people say that there's no proof of life out in the stars, and you may disagree with my reasoning here, but I think we are the proof that there's life out there, simply because if it can happen here, it can happen somewhere else. You know, there's I think that's a good enough answer. It's not. I've said it to people before, and they say, "Well, no, we're just proof that life exists here. We're not proof that life exists in other places." But no, I think if it can happen here, it's happened. You know, with the universe as vast as it is, the chances are just so incredibly remote that we're the only ones. There must be others. Whether we'll ever actually meet them or know anything about them, that's a different matter. And with the universe constantly expanding, that means everything is constantly getting further away from us. So we may never see it, but I think there is. I think there's stuff out there. Let me know what you think in the comments. Whether you think there is or is not alien life out there. Let's see. Clone Granny, I want to try doing that next. That and sage are very hardy herbs. Yes, yeah, they are. Where do you? What country are you in, by the way? Because climate has a big impact on this sort of thing. Me living where I live, it's you just need stuff that can cope with the humidity. Really, it's like last year I tried to grow peppers in the backyard, and they're peppers that ordinarily they grow in Mexico and South America. I mean, they sold them here in the local like hardware. We've got a hardware store here, chain one called B&Q, and they were selling them here. So I thought, well, if they sell them, you must be able to grow them, but mine just didn't happen. So I mean, I know South America is humid, but it's much hotter there than it is here. We're very, very humid here, but not as hot. So maybe that went some way to preventing them from growing. But yeah, sage. That's you know, we've got rosemary. We've got what's that other one we've got? Begins with a C. It's not coriander. I can't remember what it's called. It escapes me, but we're growing some of that as well. It's not chives. Can't remember, but it's another one, just a small one that we've got out the front underneath the rosemary bush. Oscar says, okay, I give up. Try and make comments. You're not trying to post a link, are you, Oscar? Because it doesn't allow you to post links. I mean, it allows me to post links because I'm the one with you know, it's my channel, but it just doesn't allow other people, you know, commenters to post links, I'm afraid. Let's see. Contingency. I think Oscar's losing to drunkenness, my guys. That sounds like Oscar. Arcane Flame, I think there has to be, referring to intelligent life in the universe. I think there has to be, though intelligent life and technology using life is probably extremely rare. Yeah, it depends how far along they are in their development, I suppose. Or whether they... I mean, just because we develop technology, that doesn't mean every race has to develop technology. It could be that they simply go a completely different route. They become intelligent, they gain sapience, they understand, or, well, you know, are able to theorize about the world around them and study it. But they may not, you know, the idea of technology may just never occur to them. They may just continue going down the road of philosophy, writing, music, things like that, rather than, you know, industrialization and stuff like that. It may just never, it just might not be a component of their makeup like it is in ours because it happened. But it might not occur to them, so maybe there's that. Or it could just be that they're behind us in their development, or even ahead of us in their development, but without technology because they've forgotten it all, lost it all. I mean, you know, if there's only, say, 10 planets in the entire universe that are, you know, like us in level of intelligence or higher, then there's a broad range of different things that they could be. So yeah, it's it's interesting to think about. But yeah, they probably are rare though, to be honest. I mean, what are the odds of? And you know, that's the other thing I don't get as well, is here people seem really insistent that we need like radio waves to communicate with other civilizations out there amongst the stars. But what if they don't have radio? You know, what if they just don't have technology there that can pick up? You know, it could just be completely incompatible. You know, like trying to send a WhatsApp message to a I don't know, to a fax machine or something. It just can't be done because they're two different kinds of technology. So there's just this insistence, kind of, or at least there has been in the past. I don't know if it is now, but there's just this kind of single-minded insistence that it has to be radio waves, broadcast radio waves. It'll reach the planets and they'll respond. Well, what's the guarantee that they have anything even remotely like that? It's just, I don't know, I never really understood that. Let's see. Clone Granny, I'm in the US, southeast Pennsylvania. Right, okay, I think the climate there is kind of... I mean, you have seasons there, don't you? So... yeah, so you'd probably be able to grow pretty much anything there, to be honest. I mean, I'm guessing it gets very, very hot there in the summertime, so... yeah, I think you'll be able to. Clone Granny, Cherville, not Cherville. No, it's. I really can't. That's annoying because. I mean, we planted it in the front yard, but now I can't remember what it's called. Weird. Contingency says, as for aliens, I think there's just bacteriums on alien worlds. No Star Trek-esque federations or empires, just animals, cells and primitive intelligence. That could very well be the case, to be honest. I suppose that means there's less threat to us. We don't have to worry about an Independence Day or a War of the Worlds type scenario happening here if the only things out there have the intelligence of dolphins or something. So it's probably for the best. I mean, You know, it's a shame we won't get to meet any alien species and talk to them and exchange information and things like that. But at the same time, if it means we're not going to get annihilated, then I'm quite happy with that result, to be honest. Arcane Flame says, I mean, Homo sapiens has been around for 300,000 years, and we only developed civilization and cities 8,000 years ago. Yeah, true. With the development of agriculture. Yeah, exactly. So if we, you know, we've been around 300,000 years in our sort of modern form, and yet it was only 8,000 years ago that we ended up developing agriculture, which led to civilization. Was that just an accident that happened? Or was that, you know, it's like if it was just happenstance that happened, then there's a very, very strong chance that something with the same level of sapience that we have could go their entire lifespan, species lifespan, without, you know, hitting that milestone, because it could just be that they circumstances are such that the need never arises. So it could be that. Matteo Rogue. Sorry, I don't have my. I'm going to put my glasses on now because I keep having to strain to see the screen for the super chats. Right, Matthew Rogan says, maybe it's not rare, maybe the universe is just too big for one type of intelligent life to have a visible effect on it. One we could see. So it's just too big. Yeah. It's just, that's it. Maybe it's not rare. Maybe there are billions of civilizations kind of like us, but because they're so far away, that's the only thing stopping us from seeing them. It could be very common. Could be that every galaxy has at least, 100, 200. Who knows? Arcane Flame. Yeah, exactly. Could be intelligent aliens out there who are just content as hunter-gatherers. Yeah, if they decide if that works for them and there's no real need to change, they probably wouldn't change. Probably, there's even today, like even human beings, it was only certain areas of Earth where human beings began the sort of agricultural, advanced civilization. But some, like in the Amazon, I think there's still tribes that are still basically living the hunter-gatherer lifestyle. I mean, they're obviously walking around with Adidas t-shirts and stuff like that now because of donations, but their general lifestyle is pretty much a hunter-gatherer one. So it could be that they just, the alien peoples just have no need to change. Ian says, excuse me, I'm just going to have another drink. Right, I'm back. Ian says, in the 13.8 billion timescale, yes, I believe there has been a civilization originating on a far-off planet located in an obscure nebula that we haven't even come close to observing. Yeah. It could be that we just never, ever, ever, ever find them. And they could be out there. Relatively speaking, they could be not that far from us. But we just don't see them because they are still far away. But relatively speaking, if the universe is this big, we're here and they're there, that is still countless trillions of light years away. So, we may just never see them. Let's see. Peter Estrada says, a man can go his whole life not knowing he is a fool, but only if he remains unmarried. Yeah. Yeah. Space Enthusiast. Cool. Good to have you, Space Enthusiast. Welcome. To be fair, intelligence in itself is a weird thing to evolve when given alternatives of bigger muscles or sharper claws or something. Yeah, they say that intelligence isn't really that beneficial in terms of, survival. It's worked for us, but you can be the most intelligent man on earth, but if you're stuck in a cage with a tiger, your brains aren't really going to help you out that much, unless you can figure out how to bend the bars and get out or something. But intelligence itself is extremely overrated when it comes to, survival. It's worked for us. We were able to make it work for us in some ways, but we're nowhere near the strongest physically life form on the planet. We're maybe the most intelligent, but we can't handle eating raw meats and stuff. Like a fox can eat a raw chicken. Obviously, it'll catch a chicken, it'll eat it. It doesn't have to worry about salmonella. We try eating raw chicken, and we're knocked out with food poisoning at best for a while. A couple of weeks maybe. So, intelligence is vastly overrated. Let's see, Oscar says, the machine stops. It is just around the corner, but in the... I think you've had a bit too much to drink, Oscar. I think contingency was right earlier. I thought you said you weren't going to drink booze on Mondays anymore. Contingency says, maybe it's a homeworld situation we're in, and everyone else doesn't talk to us because we were exiled for some reason. Yeah, maybe. It could be that so far back in our past we were part of an alliance of planets, but we couldn't contain certain aspects of our psychology, and they were like, okay, we're just going to cut you loose. I don't know Homeworld, by the way. What is that? Is that a film or a TV show or a game? Let me know what that is. Oscar, okay, so Oscar says in the wrong way. So I'll read that comment with that amendment and see what it says. The machine stops. It is just around the corner, but in the wrong way. Indeed, yes. I mean, there's not really any right way to get to the machine stops, to be honest. It's just the wrong direction to go in. That story. Peter Estrada says the best tactics are learned from the survivors. Yeah, that's true. You make a good point. We're definitely survivors. We've survived this long. Oscar says phone KB. Right, okay, I see. M says intelligence is good for long-term survival and not as much for short-term. Yeah, and like I said, that's why we've managed to survive this long. We can think our way around problems and stuff like that. But yeah, it obviously it has its advantages, but in other situations, not so much. Yeah, Clone Granny trying to type on a Samsung phone keyboard, Oscar. Yeah, I've well, mine's not a Samsung; it's a Motorola actually. But trying to type on that thing is just, yeah, very frustrating. Okay, Homeworld is a 1999 strategy game. Actually, the first 3D strategy game set in space. It's on Steam. I would recommend it because, man, is it an experience. Cool. Sounds interesting. I don't know if it's my sort of thing, to be honest. I don't know if I have the patience for strategy games. I tried EVE Online a while ago, but I mean, really cool concept. I love the idea of being able to, explore space and things like that. But I just don't have the patience for it because there's a lot of game mechanics that you have to learn. And I don't know. I'm not much of a gamer, to be honest. I'm very, very, very casual. I'm a filthy casual, sorry to say. So stuff like that is just a bit beyond me, sadly. As much as I'd like to be able to play it, I just can't really. I don't know. I just don't ever want to spend that much time on it, really. So that's just me, though. Space enthusiast, on the topic of extraterrestrial intelligence, even if it is common, it's likely that we just wouldn't notice. If a human-level civilization existed, even just a few light years away, we wouldn't notice. Yeah. It's literally like looking for a needle in a haystack, isn't it? You could be looking forever and not find anything. So, yeah, it's probably the case, to be honest. M. Would you visit a Jurassic Park if they created one in real life? I'd probably wait a little while for it to be open a while so that they can iron out all the kinks. I don't want to be the guy who's there on the first day and it turns out these fences don't work or something. I'd love to go because I would like to see the dinosaurs if they were accurately recreated, of course. I don't see the point in seeing things that are just, there's like a blueprint for them and they say, we're going to design it to have this many teeth and this many claws and this big and stuff, and it doesn't resemble the real thing. If all the stuff in the park resembled the real thing and it had been open for a while without incident, then I would absolutely visit a Jurassic Park. I think that would be amazing. I think most people would probably say the same, to be honest. That's just I'm trying to think if there's anything else that any other criteria that I would have besides realistic dinosaurs and no incidents for a long time. Like I would want it to have been open for, say, I don't know, 2-3 years before I go. And I guess the price of tickets will have come down by then as well, so that's a plus. But that's those three then. Cheaper tickets, realistic dinosaurs, been around for a while, with no incidents. But yes, I would definitely visit a Jurassic Park. Alright, it's time for Breaking Bad in the future. I meant Last and First Men. Yeah, we'll get to that in a sec. We'll cap off the stream by reading a little bit of Last and First Men. A few pages. We'll get to that shortly. M says, exact same take as mine. Lol. Yeah, it's the sane way of doing it. Is to make sure you're not going to get eaten. Yeah. Right. Let's move on to Last and First Men. A few more pages from that. Last week, I read the preface. Very interesting. It gave us the view that this was being written by someone who was having their thoughts that are all being put into the book transmitted from the future by a future human to him. And the writer is convinced this is just a work of fiction he's coming up with all on his own, but it's actually all being sent back to him from the future. So I'll just have a quick swig of water and then we'll crack on reading this for however long it takes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just as a way to cap off the stream. And also, I'll just say again, if anyone wants to join the Patreon, the link is just there in the pinned comments. Support the channel, really helps. And if you want to send a super chat, the option is there as well. Just click on that icon with the $sign, and it would be very much appreciated. Thank you very much in advance. Right. One sec. Okay, let's crack on with the book. Chapter 1. Balkan Europe. 1. The European War and After. Observe now your own epoch of history as it appears to the last men, long before the human spirit awoke to clear cognizance of the world and itself. It sometimes stirred in its sleep, opened bewildered eyes, and slept again. One of these moments of precocious experience embraces the whole struggle of the first men from savagery toward civilization. Within that moment you stand almost in the very instant when the species attains its zenith. Scarcely at all beyond our own day is this early culture to be seen progressing, and already, in your time, the mentality of the race shows signs of decline. The first, and some would say the greatest, achievement of your own Western culture was the conceiving of two ideals of conduct, both essential to the spirit's well-being. Socrates, delighting in the truth for its own sake, and not merely for practical ends, glorified unbiased thinking, honesty of mind and speech. Jesus, delighting in the actual human persons around him, and in that flavour of divinity which, for him, pervaded the world, stood for unselfish love of neighbours and of God. Socrates woke to the ideal of dispassionate intelligence, Jesus to the ideal of passionate yet self-oblivious worship. Socrates used intellectual integrity, Jesus integrity of will. Each, of course, though starting with a different emphasis, involved the other. Unfortunately, both these ideals demanded of the human brain a degree of vitality and coherence of which the nervous system of the first men was never really capable. For many centuries, these twin stars enticed the more precociously human of human animals in vain, and the failure to put these ideals in practice helped to engender in the race a cynical lassitude which was one cause of its decay. There were other causes. The people from whom sprang Socrates and Jesus were also among the first to conceive admiration for fate. In Greek tragic art and Hebrew worship of divine law, as also in the Indian resignation, man experienced, at first very obscurely, that vision of an alien and supernal beauty, which was to exalt and perplex him again and again throughout his whole career. The conflict between this worship and the intransigent loyalty to life embattled against death proved insoluble, and though few individuals were ever clearly conscious of the issue, the first human species was again and again unwittingly hampered in its spiritual development by this supreme perplexity. While man was being whipped and enticed by these precocious experiences, the actual social constitution of his world kept changing so rapidly through increased mastery over physical energy that his primitive nature could no longer cope with the complexity of his environment. Animals that were fashioned for hunting and fighting in the wild were suddenly called upon to be citizens, and moreover, citizens of a world community. At the same time, they found themselves possessed of certain very dangerous powers which their petty minds were not fit to use. Man struggled, but, as you shall hear, he broke under the strain. The European War, called at the time the War to End War, was the first and least destructive of those world conflicts which display so tragically the incompetence of the first men to control their own nature. At the outset, a tangle of motives, some honourable and some disreputable, ignited a conflict for which both antagonists were all too well prepared, though neither seriously intended it. A real difference of temperament between Latin France and Nordic Germany, combined with a superficial rivalry between Germany and England, and a number of stupidly brutal gestures on the part of the German government and military command to divide the world into two camps, yet in such a manner that it is impossible to find any difference of principle between them. During the struggle, each party was convinced that it alone stood for civilization, but in fact both succumbed now and again to impulses of sheer brutality, and both achieved acts not merely of heroism, but of generosity, unusual among the first men. For conduct which to clearer minds seems merely sane was in those days to be performed only by rare vision and self-mastery. As the months of agony advanced, there was bred in the warring peoples a genuine and even passionate will for peace and a united world. Out of the conflict of the tribes arose, at least for a while, a spirit loftier than tribalism. But this fervour lacked as yet clear guidance, lacked even the courage of conviction. The peace which followed the European War is one of the most significant moments of ancient history, for it epitomizes both the dawning vision and the incurable blindness, both the impulse toward a higher loyalty and the compulsive tribalism of a race which was, after all, but superficially human. 2. The Anglo-French War. One brief but tragic incident which occurred within a century after the European War may be said to have sealed the fate of the first men. During this century, the will for peace and sanity was already becoming a serious factor in history. Save for a number of most untoward accidents, to be recorded in due course, the party of peace might have dominated Europe during its most dangerous period, and, through Europe, the world. With either a little less bad luck or a fraction more of vision and self-control at this critical time, there might never have occurred that eon of darkness in which the first men were presently to be submerged. For had victory been gained before the general level of mentality had seriously begun to decline, the attainment of the world state might have been regarded not as an end, but as the first step toward true civilization. But this was not to be. After the European War, the defeated nation, formerly no less militaristic than the others, now became the most pacific and a stronghold of enlightenment. Almost everywhere, indeed, there had occurred a profound change of heart, but chiefly in Germany. The victors, on the other hand, in spite of their real craving to be human and generous and to found a new world, were led partly by their own timidity, partly by their governor's blind diplomacy, into all the vices against which they believed themselves to have been crusading. After a brief period in which they desperately affected amity for one another, they began to indulge once more in physical conflicts. Of these conflicts, two must be observed. The first outbreak, and the less disastrous for Europe, was a short and grotesque struggle between France and Italy. Since the fall of ancient Rome, the Italians had excelled more in art and literature than in martial achievement. But the heroic liberation of Italy in the 19th century, Christian century, had made Italians peculiarly sensitive to national prestige, and since, among Western peoples, national vigour was measured in terms of military glory, the Italians were fired, by their success against a rickety foreign domination, to vindicate themselves more thoroughly against the charge of mediocrity in warfare. After the European War, however, Italy passed through a phase of social disorder and self-distrust. Subsequently, a flamboyant but sincere national party gained control of the state and afforded the Italians a new self-respect based on reform of the social services and on militaristic policy. Trains became punctual, streets clean, morals puritanical. Aviation records were won for Italy. The young, dressed up and taught to play as soldiers with real firearms, were persuaded to regard themselves as saviours of the nation, encouraged to shed blood, and used to enforce the will of the government. The whole movement was engineered chiefly by a man whose genius in action combined with his rhetoric and crudity of thought to make him a very successful dictator. Almost miraculously, he drilled the Italian nation into efficiency. At the same time, the great emotional effect and incredible lack of humour he trumpeted Italy's self-importance and her will to expand. And since Italians were slow to learn the necessity of restricting their population, expansion was a real need. Thus it came about that Italy, hungry for French territory in Africa, jealous of French leadership of the Latin races, indignant at the protection afforded to Italian traitors in France, became increasingly prone to quarrel with the most assertive of her late allies. It was a frontier incident, a fancied insult to the Italian flag, which at last caused an unauthorized raid upon French territory by a small party of Italian militia. The raiders were captured, but French blood was shed. The consequent demand for apology and reparation was calm, but subtly offensive to Italian dignity. Italian patriots worked themselves into short-sighted fury. The dictator, far from daring to apologize, was forced to require the release of the captive militiamen and finally to declare war. After a single sharp engagement, the relentless armies of France pressed into North Italy. Resistance, at first heroic, soon became chaotic. In consternation, the Italians woke from their dream of military glory. The populace turned against the dictator whom they themselves had forced to declare war. In a theatrical but gallant attempt to dominate the Roman mob, he failed and was killed. The new government made a hasty peace, ceding to France a frontier territory which she had already annexed for security. Thenceforth, Italians were less concerned to outshine the glory of Garibaldi than to emulate the greater glory of Dante, Giotto, and Galileo. France had now complete mastery of the continent of Europe, but having much to lose, she behaved arrogantly and nervously. It was not long before peace was once more disturbed. Scarcely had the last veterans of the European war ceased from wearying their juniors with reminiscence, when the long rivalry between France and England culminated in a dispute between their respective governments over a case of sexual outrage said to have been committed by a French African soldier upon an English woman. In this quarrel, the British government happened to be definitely in the wrong and was probably confused by its own sexual repressions. The outrage had never been committed. The facts which gave rise to the rumour were that an idle and neurotic Englishwoman in the south of France, craving the embraces of a caveman, had seduced a Senegalese corporal in her own apartments. When, later, he had shown signs of boredom, she took revenge by declaring that he had attacked her indecently in the woods above the town. This rumour was such that the English were all too prone to savour and believe. At the same time, the magnates of the English press could not resist this opportunity of trading upon the public's sexuality, tribalism, and self-righteousness. There followed an epidemic of abuse and occasional violence against French subjects in England, and thus the party of fear and militarism in France was given the opportunity it had long sought. All right, I think we'll leave it there just for now. Yeah, there's a few more pages to go until the chapter, but I think that's a good place to leave it. I'll just mark that there. And yeah, pretty interesting so far. It's making some predictions which, I mean, this book was written in the 1930s, so I can't exactly remember when, but it was before World War II. So a lot of the stuff in there is basically, you know, I mean, it did predict certain things like an Italian dictator, for example, but it did predict a war between France and, well, a war. It was, I mean, World War II. It was France and Italy were on opposing sides, I suppose. So, but it wasn't strictly just a war between France and Italy, was it? So that bit's wrong. But I've got a feeling there's going to be some interesting predictions in here. We'll see what Olaf Stapledon, what he thought was going to happen, and see how much of it did happen. Yeah, very interesting. Right, we've been going for about an hour and a half, so I think now is probably a good time to call it a night. But yeah, this has been a really good stream. I've really enjoyed it. We've talked about a broad range of things, really, haven't we? From You know, is there alien life out there? To obviously the All Tomorrows book. Would you visit Jurassic Park? That was a good question. I like fun questions like that. They're good. Yeah, we talked about lots of different things. Really good stream. So I guess we'll leave it there for now. But yeah, if there's any last minute questions, now's the time to get them in. But if there aren't, thank you for watching. Yep, there's a new video coming this Friday, all about the film Upgrade. So go and see Upgrade in preparation. There's going to be spoilers in the video, so if you want to see the film, I'd watch it first before watching the video. I will say just now, I'm not sure if there will be another live stream this coming Monday, because I might have something that I need to do, but I'll keep you updated on what's happening there. It may happen, it may not. I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted. But anyway, yeah, this has been Live from the Void number 6. Really good stream. Thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Thank you to Oscar for the super chat. Very much appreciated. And thanks for all your comments. Okay, so thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care.